friends. It is so good to be with you guys again this week. I hope that you had a wonderful Easter. I loved seeing the pictures that you guys took and the videos you guys took of chalking the walk. It was so wonderful. It made my heart so happy to be able to worship Jesus' coming back from the dead with you, even though we were so far away. So I was so happy to see all of that. I hope that you've had a wonderful week enjoying the time with your family. Today, we are going to learn about holidays. Now, a particular holiday is what we're going to talk about, but I'm going to start us off with a guessing game. I'm going to draw a picture of something that symbolizes a holiday. So a symbol is like, something that when you look at it, you think, oh, this means that. So if I have a picture of something and you look at that picture and you say, that means this holiday, Halloween, St. Patrick's Day. That was what that symbolizes. So I'm going to draw something, a symbol for you, and I want you to guess what holiday I'm drawing, okay? Are you ready? We're going to start with an oval shape. And this is something that we have just done. We took an oval-shaped food and we decorated it, and then we went to hide it and look for it. What do you think this might be? Is it an Easter egg? Did you say Easter egg? Because if so, you're right. This is an egg, which symbolizes Easter. Okay, you ready for another one? Here we are. This is something that we take in that's alive, and we take it into our house every winter. And then we put decorations on it, like ornaments. Maybe you put little presents underneath it. What is that? A tree? Is it a Christmas tree? Is that what you said? Perfect. So this is a symbol for Christmas. Okay, this time we're going to do one more, but a little bit harder. You ready? Okay, so in the summertime, there's a night that you will look up into the sky and you will see bright lights bursting out, making a big boom sound. Now, in addition to that, we also have parades, and a lot of people wear red, white, and blue, and they wave our country's flag. What holiday do you think that might be, with fireworks and our country's flag? Did you say 4th of July or Independence Day? Because if you did, you'd be right. Good job. So, Independence Day is our country's birthday. And this symbolizes that. The fireworks are a big celebration of our country's birthday. And the symbol for the Christmas tree is bringing life into our home. When it's cold and dark outside, we have life in our home and we celebrate the new life, the gift that God gave to us in sending his son, Jesus, as a baby. So sometimes the symbols have even deeper meanings. And that's what we're going to be learning about today, is about holiday with deeper meanings that we can find in the Bible. So, when we get started, I'm going to invite our friend Frido, okay? Can you say it with me? Can you say, Frido, Frido, come on, let's go, Frido! Wait, are my friends here? Yes, Frido! My friends are here! They're here! Hi, everyone! How are you guys doing? I hope you had a great Easter. I did. I loved seeing your pictures. What did you do for Easter, Frido? Oh, I chalked the walk, too. I made a big picture of an Easter egg, and I put a big sign. Well, I needed some help with the writing, but it said, he is risen. And that meant that Jesus was risen from the dead because he's so cool. Yes, that's exactly what you did. I think that's so nifty, Frida. Yeah. Are you ready to learn about today's lesson? Yeah, I am. So we're going to learn about Jesus today, right? Well, yes, we are going to learn about Jesus today. But we're going to start in kind of a different part of the Bible. We're going to start in the book of Exodus. Exodus, okay. Well, but Exodus is at the beginning of the Bible. Yes. But Jesus doesn't show up at the beginning of the Bible. You're right. He doesn't show up. He's not a person at the beginning of the Bible. But we're going to be reading from that part of the Bible. Oh, okay. So we're going to read about a time when the Egyptians were slaves. Slave. What's the word slave? Well, slave is a person who is under the rule of someone else, and they don't have any freedom. Oh, no freedom? Yeah, they don't have a choice about what they're going to do. Their master tells them what they'll do in a day, what work they're going to do, what they're going to eat, and they don't get paid for any of their work. What? They don't get paid? And they don't have any freedom? That doesn't sound like a good life at all. You're right, it's not. Slaves are not a good thing to have. And here, the Israelites, God's people, were slaves to the Egyptians. Oh, that's really sad. Does God let them free? Well, that's what we're going to learn about. So we're starting here, and we're talking about the first Passover. Passover? Yes, that's the holiday that the Jews, even the Jews today, celebrate. Oh, what does the word Passover mean? Why is it called Passover? Well, we're going to read it, and you'll find out why. Oh, okay. Can you start? Yes, I'll start, Rita. All right, here we go. It says, the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron. Who are Moses and Aaron? Moses and Aaron, they're two people that God sent to make Pharaoh release the Israelites from slavery. Oh, okay, so God's talking to them? Yeah, God's talking to them now. So, in the land of Egypt, this month will be the first month of the year for you. Both of you are to tell the whole community of Israel. On the 10th day of this month, each man must get one lamb. Oh, like a baby sheep? Yeah, like a baby sheep. It is for the people in his house. There may not be enough people in his house to eat a whole lamb, then he must share it with his closest neighbor. Oh, that's nice. He has to share it. Okay, so he's a lamb? Well, yeah, and we're going to find out what he does with the lamb. There must be enough lamb for everyone to eat. What? He eats the lamb? Yes, he eats the lamb. Oh, why does he eat the lamb? Well, do you know how a lot of people here eat chicken and pork and beef? Yeah. Well, lamb is another animal that humans eat, and some people even now eat lamb. Oh, okay, so God told them to get a lamb to eat the lamb? Yes, and so we're going to find out more, okay? Okay. So the lamb must be a 1-year-old male. It must have nothing wrong with it. This animal can be either a young sheep or a young goat. So nothing wrong with it. It must be a perfect lamb? That's right. That means it's not allowed to have like a broken leg or any spots on it. It must be a perfect lamb. Oh, does that make it extra tasty? Well, you'll see why it has to be a perfect lamb. Okay. So, on that day, or keep the animal with you to take care of it until the 14th day of the month. And on that day, all the people of the community of Israel will kill these animals. And so they're going to kill the animals, and they're going to eat the animals. But before they do that, they have to take the blood of the sheep, of the lamb, and they must put it over their door frame. What? They put it over their... Why are they putting it over their door frame? Well, we'll find out why. God has a reason for it. Okay, God has some funny sounding plans. I know. So, the people must take some of the blood. They put it on the sides and tops of the door frame. These are the door frames of the houses where they eat the lambs. On this night, they must roast the lamb over a fire. Then they must eat it with bitter herbs and bread made without yeast. Okay, so they've got several foods here. They have lamb, and they have bitter herbs. What's bitter herb? Well, a bitter herb, it's like greens, but they taste really, really, really bitter. They're not really sweet at all. And so they are kind of make your mouth go like that. Oh, that doesn't sound yummy. Well, we'll find out why we have that as well. God gives a reason for all these things. And then they have to eat bread, right? Yes, bread with no yeast. Oh, okay, what's yeast? Well, yeast is something that makes bread rise, makes it big. And if you don't put yeast in it, then it stays flat. Oh, okay. So why? They eat this food, and then what happens? Well, they have to do all of these things, and they have to eat it that night. And whatever they don't eat, they're supposed to burn before the morning. And when they eat, they have to be fully dressed as if they're going on a trip. On a trip? Are they about to go on a trip? Yes. You see, Frido, this is when God is about to release the Israelites. They have to eat this food, and shortly after they eat it, they have to be ready to go without stopping. Oh, so they have to be ready to leave slavery? Yes, this is when God's going to free them. But let's find out what happens first, because something big has to happen before they're released. Okay. So that night, God will go through the land of Egypt. He will kill all the firstborn animals and people in the land of Egypt. He will punish all the gods of Egypt. I am the Lord, but the blood will be a sign on the houses where you are. When I see the blood, I will pass over you. Pass over you? Pass over you. God passing over. That's right. That's why it's called Passover. You see, God promises nothing terrible will hurt you when I punish the land of Egypt. So that night, God will come, decided he was going to come, and he was going to kill all of the firstborn animals and the firstborn people. That's a lot of people and animals dying. Yes, That's a sad thing. Well, it is a sad thing, but it's God's way of punishing the Egyptians. And he promised, though, that he would rescue his people. And he does that through all of the Bible. He promises he's going to rescue his people. And the way that the people were supposed to do that, remember what it says there. They're supposed to take the blood of the lamb that they've just killed, okay? And they take a hyssop branch. Now, I don't have a hyssop branch. What is a hyssop branch? Well, it's kind of like a long branch that is almost like a paintbrush on the end. It has little leaves on the very end, and that makes it like a paintbrush. So they dip it into the blood, and then they put it over their door frames. Oh, like that? Yes. They paint red on the sides of their doors and above their door. Now, kids, I don't recommend you doing this at home. Don't write on your walls without your parents' permission. Yeah, I hope you can wash that off. I'll wash it off. But this is what they did. They made paint. Only not paint, sorry. They put blood on their door frames. And this was the sign to God that these were his people. They were doing what he told them to do. And so it was the lamb that died, the perfect lamb. Perfect lamb. That's right. He was a perfect lamb. That's right. So a perfect lamb died, and they took the blood from that perfect lamb, and they put it over their door frames. And that was their way of saying, God, we belong to you. We are your people, and you can save us. Save us from from our people dying. Oh, and did God do it? That's right. God did do it. And in fact, because of that big plague, that big thing that happened, Pharaoh released all of the Israelites from slavery, and they got free. So God did save his people. That's right. God saved his people that night and caused them to be free to go to a new land that he had promised them that would be rich with milk and honey, is how it said. So a beautiful land where God would take care of them. Wow. So God saves them. But where's Jesus in that? I thought we were talking about Jesus. We are going to talk about Jesus. See, on the night that Jesus had his Last Supper, he also remembered the Passover. So God tells Moses and Aaron to also tell all of the Israelites that every year they're to remember that God rescued them by celebrating the Passover together. Oh, so it's like a big holiday for them. That's right. It's kind of like how we celebrate Christmas every year and Easter every year. They were celebrating Passover every year to remember what God did. So how did they celebrate? Well, they would celebrate by eating the same food that they ate in Israel, or in Egypt. The Israelites ate in Egypt. So that includes the food that we have here. Oh, is that what this is for? Yep. So what is all of this food over here? So this is some of the food that they eat for Passover. You have the lamb. Oh, yeah, that does look good. See this lamb? Yeah. Can I smell it? Yeah. Oh, that smells really good. So this is the type of lamb. They would roast it, and then they eat it. And what else do they have? Do they have any goldfish crackers? No, they don't have any goldfish crackers, Frido. Oh, man, I know you like goldfish. But they do have bread, and it was bread made without yeast, so it's kind of flat like this. Oh, okay. So you have bread, and you have lamb, and what was the other food? Well, what do you think, Frido? It was a bitter bird. No, it wasn't a bitter bird. It was a bitter herb, like bitter greens. So bitter greens like this. Yeah. So that's not sweet, right? That's right. These aren't sweet. In fact, what they do is they dip them into water that's made with salt. So salt water. Oh, that doesn't sound good at all. That's right. So what they did, they had the bitter herbs and the salt water to remind them of being slaves in Egypt. When it was such a hard time and a sad time, the slaves' tears, that's what the salt water is. And so they eat that as a symbol of being slaves in Egypt. Okay. And then what's the lamb? Well, the lamb is to remember that the perfect lamb had to be killed. And because of that, God rescued them. Okay? And the bread? Well, the bread is made so that it's the type of bread that they can take with them very quickly to make their escape. Oh, okay. And we haven't talked about this food yet. What's this one? Well, do you remember, where did God promise he was going to take them? To a land with milk and honey. That's right. And so this has apples in it and raisins and nuts, and it shows the sweet promise that God is offering to his people. He's going to take them to a perfect land. Oh, that does look yummy. Can I have some of it right now? Frido, we can have some of it later. Oh, okay. So this is what they eat for Passover, huh? Yep. And on the night before Jesus died, he ate this exact meal with his friends. Oh, you mean the Last Supper? Yeah, exactly. The Last Supper. Now, do you remember in the Last Supper, Jesus picks up one of these foods and he says something special about it. Can you guess which one it is? Can you guys guess which one it is? It's the bread! It's the bread! That's right, Frido. Jesus picks up the bread and he breaks it and he says what? What is the bread? What does the bread symbolize? Oh, he says It's his body that's broken for us. That's right. He was telling his followers that his body is the bread that's going to be broken for us. And then he had some wine, and he said that was his blood that was going to be spilled for us. And did that happen? Yeah, it happened the next day, right? That's right, it happened the next day. But there's one other food he didn't really bring out in that meal, but it's talked about many times in the Bible. The lamb. Okay, what about the lamb? You remember, is it a perfect lamb? Yeah. And what did the lamb's blood do? It saved them. It saved them, right? It made it so God wouldn't kill them. That's right. So the blood saved them. And it says many times in the Bible that Jesus is the Lamb of God who takes away the sins of the world. Jesus is a lamb? You mean he's like ba-ba lamb? Well, he's not really a ba-ba lamb. It's another symbol. It's a metaphor. Jesus was actually a man, but he had to die the way the lambs died to save the people. And he was even more perfect than this lamb, right? Yeah, because he was God. That's right. He was God, and he had never, ever sinned. And so he was a perfect lamb that was able to die. Not every year, like during the Passover, they had to kill another lamb, but he was a perfect lamb who had to die once for you and for me and for all of our friends out there. Yeah. So when he's eating the Passover, he knows he's going to be the lamb that dies? That's right, the perfect lamb whose blood is going to wash all of our hearts clean, cleaner than any sacrifice could. He was the best sacrifice, the only sacrifice that could really clean our hearts all the way and get rid of all the sin and bad things so that God wouldn't kill us, wouldn't separate us from him in the end. Wow! So God knew way at the beginning of the Bible that there would be a perfect lamb? That's right, even before the Bible was made. God knew that he would have to come as a little baby and grow up and live a perfect life for us and die for us. Yeah, and then beat death and get stronger than ever, right? Yes, on Easter. Beat death and be stronger than ever and show that he's rescued you and he's rescued me and he's rescued our friends and all of the church for all of history. Wow, that's really cool. Yeah, I think that's really cool, Frido. So friends, I ask you, talk with your parents this week about what that means for Jesus to be the real sacrifice, the real Lamb of God that takes away everyone's sin. All of the church taking away the sin from our hearts and saving us. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. All right, friends. So I will see you guys next week. I hope that you have a wonderful week, and I hope that you enjoy this time that you get to spend with your family. We love you guys. Bye!